What is up, guys? Welcome back to another video, and today we're going to be doing a tier list. Alright, so I actually made this tier list while I was live on Facebook. So I was actually asking the viewers themselves as well whether this hero fits in this category. Are they S tier? Are they A tier? And all that stuff. So this goes with my opinion and the viewers' opinion as well. But I tried to put, the common heroes for each role and tried not to put the exotic picks as much as possible because there's just so much possibilities in ML, right? It's just endless. Anything could work if you could execute it correctly. So nobody knows which hero could go where, you know what I mean? But I tried my best to get all the common picks into their specific role. Alright, so let's start with the let's see, what should we start with first? Let's start with the XP lane tier list first. Alright, so let's see if that works. Yeah, you can see it. There it is. Alright, so right here, the XP lane tier list we have on S plus would be Benedetta. Okay, Benedetta I think is still one of the best XP laner, I think, because even if she gets countered by, let's just say, Esme, usually what she would do is just clear the lane and run away. Clear the lane. She's not gonna take 1v1s and duels. Right, clear the lane, run away, and get an impact on teamfight using your Petrify and ulti. Okay, and she doesn't really have a hard counter except for Mardis. Probably Mardis is the only soft counter that I think that could work for Benedetta. And there's this new pick, or there's this new buff on Kaja that people have been going crazy about, which I don't know if it's gonna work. But technically, Kaja has a suppress that you cannot purify or dodge. So I'm guessing Kaja might work against Benedetta if the Kaja buff is enough. You know what I mean? A lot of people are saying that the new Kaja is really OP and it's super flexible. Could go gold lane, could go XP, and and anywhere else. Like some people were even saying position 4 in jungle in chat while I was doing this. So I'm not quite sure. Let me know in the comments below what you guys think about the new buff Kaja, since he only got buffed like 2 days ago. So I really don't know yet, to be honest with you. I don't know where he's supposed to go. So I put him on the question mark tier. He has his own tier. Okay? Moving on to the S, we have Fredrin, Esme, Trizla. Alright, these are all dependable. It depends on the draft. Alright, so for Fredrin, it depends if you have a split pusher jungler. Usually it's better if you have a split pusher jungler. For Esme, if you don't have a split pusher jungle, then Esme is usually good since she can split push. What I noticed on scrims before the patch is that people usually prioritize these three right here: Benedetta, Fredrin, and Trizla, and they use Trizla to counter the Esme as well. Trizla is like a soft counter to Esmeralda in a way, right? Because he has so much sustain, and whenever Trizla ults, usually Esme can't run away unless she has sprint or flicker. Okay, so that's it. He's like a soft counter to Esme. Paquito, after the nerf, is not as good anymore. Used to be an S plus, I would say, but now is only an S, or maybe even close to an A. Right? Cho is like a flex XP lane, roam, and jungle actually. So Cho is a really flexible pick, and other teams would actually use Cho to somewhat counter the Benedetta, so that he can get crowd controlled. She can get crowd controlled and hopefully gets bursted during team fights or during a kick or a pick off. While Phoveus, they use Phoveus since Benedetta is like really popular now. A lot of dashes. 1-1 is still popular. Chu's really popular. Ruby's really popular. A lot of heroes that have many dashes are popular. So I think Phoveus still deserves this S for me. Alright. Grok XP is like a really close S and A for me. But Grok XP is quite scary as well, especially if you build him high and dry and like full damage. He's still super tanky. Physical wise, right? Physical wise, he's still super tanky if you build him full damage. But in most cases, you get bursted by mages. And he's really good on team fights. The only problem with Phoveus, Grok, Trizla, and Fredrin is that they don't have split push, right? So for A, these are like the, almost like a last resort kind of heroes, or like if it's a really good counter to the enemy's draft. Like for example, if the enemy team has a Gusion, usually Masha is really good. Since Gusion can't burst the Masha, he has way too much XP, right? And like I said earlier, Martis is like a soft counter to Benedetta in a way, since Martis' second skill is super annoying against Bene. D-Ross is a good counter for Esme, we all know that, right? Yuzhong is like a Yuzhong is a 50-50 matchup versus Esme, but he's really good on team fights. But he can't split. That's the problem with Yuzhong. Lapu is really good against Diggy, usually to just proc the Diggy ulti, since Lapu's cooldown on his ulti is super short. Uranus is really good split pushing. Thamos is only good early game, but his late game kind of sucks, so he's going to be right here. Akai is also super flexible. Some teams play him roam, some teams play him jungle, and some teams play him on the XP as well. So he's super flexible, so that's why he's gonna go here as well. But he's only good on team fights and not really on split push. And Ruby and Jawhead. The Jawhead, the reason why Jawhead is here is because of this, the Benedetta. If Benedetta wasn't so priority in this current meta, I think Jawhead would be lower, like around B. So some teams also use Jawhead to counter the Benedetta, only because Benedetta will go back and forth at the river, and what Jawhead will do is he has high and dry and full damage, and he'll just wait at the bush, and hopefully Benedetta comes to him and he assassinates the Benedetta. Even if Benedetta second skills away, his rockets will follow, and Benedetta will get bursted. So that's the idea with the Jawhead pick to counter the Benedetta, right? And for these guys, I don't even want to talk about too much. Hopefully these guys are reasonable to where they are, except for Khalid. Khalid got buffed recently, so I'm not really sure if he's good now. His first skill has like a push in, like he sucks people in into his first skill. So I don't really know how that works, but he got buffed recently. I'm not sure if it's gonna make such a big deal, but for now we'll put him on B, right? Anybody else that got buffed? Well, I think Badang got buffed recently as well, right? So Badang was like a really close A. I've been seeing a lot of Badangs in ranked games, and they really hurt. The problem with Badang is you guys need to understand what an XP laner is supposed to do, right? An XP laner is supposed to have to be able to give you vision, or it could split and help you on team fights. What Badang could do is he could give you a shit ton of damage, and he can help you on team fights. That's about it. But I don't think he could split. His split push potential is not that good. Alright, so let's move on to the next tier list, which is gonna be the Marksman tier list. Alright, so the Marksman tier list, we have 1-1. I think that is still reasonable for me, even though 1-1 could get countered by Lolita, Phobius, Ling, and all that stuff. If you draft it correctly, 1-1 is still really scary. Her survivability is super good. Still ban worthy for me. Alright, moving on to S. Leslie, alright? Leslie used to be an A in my opinion, but with the recent buff, man, Leslie hurts so much. The only problem with Leslie is she's single target, and she could easily get killed with a lot of gap closers on the enemy team. That's the only problem. But if there's nobody to reach Leslie, like there's no Eve, there's no Farsa, there's no Benedetta, and all that stuff, no Yuzhong, Leslie's super scary to go against. Alright, like same with 1-1. If you draft it correctly with Leslie, super strong. The true damage, nobody is it's like a car. It's a carry on steroids. It's a carry on steroids in a way, with Leslie, and more range. So yeah, that's the point. That's the potential of Leslie. Let's go with Melissa. Melissa is still good. Nothing happened to Melissa. No nerfs, I think, and no buffs. Same case with Leslie. Really good in laning though. I think Melissa is the strongest in laning out of all the marksmans, in my opinion. Right? Really good in laning. Claude is still good on team fights, so that's why he's gonna be there. Plus, there's really no, well, never mind. I was gonna say there's no hard counter to Claude, but Leslie's like a counter to Claude in the laning phase, just because Leslie could go invisible while Claude's Blazing Duet is not gonna hit if someone is invisible. So that's why people pick Leslie against the Claude. All right, next is we have Bea. Bea's actually a really close S for me, to be honest. She got buffed recently. Her shotgun got buffed recently, and her pistol, I believe, got buffed recently. So I think Beatrix should be like a close S or A. It's like somewhere there. So yeah, these guys are like safe picks. Whoever's in A are really safe picks. They don't really have a hard counter, I would say. Eurethal's really good if you want to go get people in the backline. Harith, hopefully you guys saw our game versus Evils, where we used the Evils Harith skin against them, and we had a Saber position 4. So if you guys didn't see the potential of Harith, make sure to check it out. It is game number 1. Yeah, game number 1 of MPLI versus Brand versus Evils. If you want to check it out, so you guys know the potential of the Harith pick. But you need to draft it correctly as well, since he is magic damage. He's not a physical damage gold lane. Alright, so draft it correctly if you want it to work. Bruno's still pretty decent. Clint is still pretty decent. Carry is really good against like heroes like Barretts, Akai, and all the really tanky junglers. Brody's still decent if there's Fanny on the other team or if you need extra CC. Popol is only good in the early stages of the game. Fulvius Gold Lane is only good if there's a 1-1 on the other team, so it's really situational as well. As for B, I mean, Mia is like a really close A as well. A lot of, like for example, CW, if you guys watch Onyx, Indo, especially in the grand finals, they use Mia to counter Claude as well. These two heroes right here, Leslie and Mia, they kind of have the same mechanic where they go invisible to counter the Claude, so they don't get hit by the Blazing Duet. So that's like the main reason why they use those heroes. Right, for Moscow, they only use this if there's a Fanny on their other team. Lilia, I've seen some teams use Lilia if they are against a Melissa, right? Just because of laning, so that laning is easier. Lunox is not that good anymore in the gold lane. These are all situational as well. Like if you're forcing this, if you want a double sustain type of draft, you wanna draft these guys right here. I even see Yu Zhong sometimes in the gold lane. Alter Ego really likes doing this type of stuff. They like doing the double sustain. So Paquito gold lane and Esme gold lane sometimes, right? If you're doing a double sustain, usually you want to have a Ling jungle if you're going double sustain, a scaling jungle. That's what you want. All right. And hopefully everybody else is reasonable. Like I said earlier, Kaja, I don't know where he's gonna go since he only got buffed recently. I haven't had much chances on how he plays, how strong he is. So let me know let me know in the comment section below if you've tried the Kaja and think he belongs somewhere here. All right, Layla and Hanabi, hopefully that is understandable. They are at C. And let's move on to the next tier list. So I think this is the most chaotic tier list for me, which is the jungle tier list, because there's so many possibilities. Like for example, Wise, right? Wise taking out the Gwen jungle, taking out the Valentina jungle. I'll explain it to you guys later on, right? But in this case, all right, let's start with the most common picks. Akai and Fanny, these guys are like interchangeable. Akai is pretty much used to counter the Fanny, and if there's no Akai, Fanny's super good, right? In most cases. And if the Fanny player is super good, even if there's counters on the other team, the Fanny's still super scary, right? Gusion got nerfed recently, so he's gonna go down to an S. So he's not as good in the jungle since he's so executional. He's so execution dependent. If you miss your skills, you're kind of screwed. Plus, you're gonna have a retry, so you're not gonna have any form of escape and survivability. So that's the hard part with Gusion. So he's actually a close A in my opinion. I think with the current patch, because he got nerfed recently. Because before his damage, you could really feel it, but after the nerf, you could feel the damage lessen a lot whenever you're trying to burst down marksmen or anybody squishy. All right, so Martis is gonna go to an S. They use Martis to go against Akai, so you can't get Hurricane Dance and CC'd out because he has immune on his second skill. Same with Benedetta. They use these two heroes just to kinda counter the Akai pick in a way, because Benedetta has immune on her second skill. Ling is also a type of hero that you could use to go against Akai, since Akai cannot really pin you down if you're on top of a wall, right? Bratz is still pretty decent in my opinion, especially if you have a Mathilda on your team. You can go in and out when you're invading. Has good wave clear. The only problem is he's super slow, and if he doesn't snowball, it's kind of hard. Okay. As for A, people use Cho jungle as well to counter the Fanny, or to kind of same mechanic. He also has immune on his second skill, so they use Cho sometimes to go against Akai, but it's kind of hard. All right. Usually they use Cho jungle to counter the Fanny pick in most cases. Right. Amon's still pretty good. If you've seen Kyrie use the Amon, he's still super strong. Leomord got buffed recently. I think he's gonna go up into an A. Used to be on a B, I think. Paquito got nerfed recently. If you build him full damage, he still hurts a lot. The problem is, the meta doesn't go his favor right now. There's so many Atlas players. There's so many Eve players. There's so many Lilia players. There's so many just Fredrin players. So it's hard to play Paquito jungle now. Not a lot of survivability. You can easily get killed with Paquito jungle. All right, unless you snowball a lot. Julian jungle is still pretty decent. Bauman is not as good anymore. Probably used to be an S, but Bauman's ulti is not that good anymore. So that's why he's gonna go down to an A. Karina's still decent. Lancelot's still decent. and all these guys are still pretty decent. You guys all see this in pro play, except for this guy probably, except for Olus and this guy. Baksha not as much, but everybody else, hopefully they are understandable to where they're at. We've seen Lunox jungle. I don't want to go too much into it because there's a lot of exotic picks that we've seen here. We've seen the Phoveus, right, from Smart Omega jungle. We've seen Kufra from Aura Fire. We've seen Grok from Aura Fire. Like usually, these guys come from Aura. If you see an exotic jungler, it usually comes from Aura Fire. So it's kind of hard to rank them. I wouldn't say they're bad. It's just that maybe it's just not for me. That's why I rank them here at C. Right? Maybe it's just not for me. Because I want the more reasonable junglers. I don't know why. They have their own identity for Aura Fire, so that's good for them. Let's move on. So this is gonna be the mid lane tier list. It looks like we have Valentina and Framis still in the S+. Hopefully that is understandable. Those two are still the most prioritized mid laners in the current meta. Valentina, hopefully that's self-explanatory. Can steal your ulti. Gusion is still super good even after the nerf. Used to be an S+, I would say, before the nerf, but not anymore. Probably an S only right now. Eve is still pretty good. Farsa is still good. Kadita is still really good. Especially there's a lot of Claude players still. So Petrify and all that stuff, and has a lot of map pressure when you're playing Kadita. So that's why she's gonna go into an S. Lilia has really good laning phase and wave clear and early game, so she's gonna go to an S. Julian is still pretty decent, but pretty crappy pre-level 3. But once you get level 3, it's pretty good. Julian is still pretty decent. So for A, Selena, the only problem with Selena is doesn't have a lot of wave clear. But if you do snowball a lot with Selena, is really good, right? It's really good. Lunox is a scaling type. Bane is a scaling type. Kagura is a scaling type. Nana is still is decent. I would say is decent. Her Molina's actually kind of annoying, and there are some teams that use Nana to kind of have a Lassen pick, which is like a poison pick. In a way, cheese strat. In a way, they use Nana, Diggy combo, and they just bully your gold lane. It's kind of annoying. Savior is a scaling type of hero. So in most cases, what you want is, if you want to control the game, you want an early game mage. In most cases, all right. In most cases, like for example, these guys, right? By level 4, these guys can burst down heroes. Kadita, Julian, and Gusion. Same with Farsa. By level 4, you can burst down heroes. As for Eve, she's just really good on team fights. Right, so that's the only difference there. Farsa is technically a scaling type of hero, but she already hurts as soon as she gets level 4. Just Feather Airstrike is good enough, and there's a lot of Diggy players, so they mainly use Farsa to counter that. Right. Hopefully these are self-explanatory. There are some exotic picks here as well, like the Phoveus, right? Just for like people or heroes that have dashes, if they want to force the Phoveus, but his early game is not that good, so that's the problem with Phoveus position 4. Probably your laning phase is gonna be super hard, but after that, I think you're gonna be fine. Hopefully everybody else makes sense to where they're at. These guys are super slow at clearing, super slow at rotating. So that's why they belong at C. As for Kaja, I still don't know where he belongs, so he's gonna go to the question mark, right? So for the last tier list, we have the roaming tier list, alright? So we have the Framis and Diggy on the S+. A lot of Diggy bans now, a lot of Framis bans as well in tournament play. But I could argue that Diggy would be like, if you know how to counter the Diggy, I think Diggy should be A or like a low S, in my opinion. Right? But if you draft Diggy correctly, like for example, if the enemy team has Atlas and has Lolita, a lot of CC and all that stuff, Diggy is super good. And there's a lot of teams right now that like doing double sustain. For example, Blacklist and Onyx, they really like doing this stuff. Blacklist, you've seen them, right? Double sustain. If you don't ban a Diggy, they like doing, I think I've seen them do like a Diggy. Is it Mathilda? I forgot. No, it's a Diggy Estes. Something like that. Something somewhere along those lines. I forgot. It's Diggy with someone else. But what they do is they just bully the gold lane and just throw bombs. It's they do 2 people at gold lane, and Diggy just camps the gold lane, and they just give the turtle for free. And they funnel the gold lane. They funnel all their resources to the gold lane. So that's what they do with the Diggy, and it's really hard to deal with if they execute it correctly. So that's why Diggy belongs somewhere here at S or S plus. If you guys disagree with it, it's fine. Moving on to our S heroes, Grok is still a really solid pick. True, Mathilda. Usually Mathilda is a really good counter for these two heroes. But you need to play a utility type jungler most of the time if you have the Mathilda. Right? So Atlas is good if there's no Diggy. It's really good if there's no Diggy. Lolita is good if there's no Grok or Atlas. Usually you use those two heroes to counter the Lolita, but really good against 1-1. Lolita is really good against 1-1 with a shield and the two hard stuns. Ruby's really good against Lolita as well, and pretty decent against Mathilda. Right, so that's why Ruby's gonna go up here on S. For these ones, these are like optional at this point. If they have a Fanny, you pick a Kufra. They again, a lot of teams are doing like Roamer, Kadita, so it's kind of annoying as well. I'm pretty sure Echo has been doing it lately. I've been seeing it on their stream. And Evos, same with Evos, they really like doing this Kadita Roamer. They have a really good Kadita Roamer there. I'm pretty sure Godiva as well really likes doing Roamer. He's really known for his Kadita, so people ban it out sometimes. That's how strong he is, right? So for the other roamers like Estes, Angela, these are like situational. If you have a combo, Angela Leomord, I've seen. For Estes Barats or something like that. Selena Grok, right? Selena Grok, Selena Chu, that's a combo. Valir Roamer I've been seeing a lot lately. If the enemy team is all melee, they use Valir Roamer. Minotaur sometimes. Akai is a flex pick still. Jawhead is not as good anymore because a lot of long range heroes, and plus if you mess up your engage, you're kind of screwed. Johnson, if you have a Kadita or some type of burst with Odette. And yeah, Odette got buffed recently, by the way, and she has an extra dash, I believe. So I don't know where she fares off. Tigreal is still kind of bad, and these guys are kind of bad right now. And I'm sure Carmilla got buffed, by the way. I'm not sure where she belongs as well. Since she got buffed, I know that her ulti is a little bit different now. It's like a circle now. So I'm not sure where she belongs. So I'm gonna put Kaja and Carmilla at the question mark, right? Hopefully you guys notice that Kaja is like in almost all of it, all the tier lists. I think Kaja is in all of it except for the jungler tier list. So that's kind of insane. Try out the Kaja for me, try out the Carmilla for me, and let me know in the comment section below what you guys think about those heroes, alright? So yeah, that's it for the tier list. Let me know if you guys have any disagreements. That's alright. Just comment down below if you guys agree with something, or if you guys have other ideas to what other heroes could go to a specific role. Comment down below, alright? But yeah, before moving on, make sure you like and subscribe, hit that notification bell. Thank you guys for watching. And yeah, that's it. Peace.